Zartasha A, the ambassador for the Bridge from Pakistan. I welcome all of you to the fourth episode of the Bridge Writers in Contemplation. Today's episode is a unique one as we have with us today Zartasha Shah, a very versatile personality from Texas. You would be thrilled to know that Zartasha is an artist, an art historian, a curator, a graphic designer, a photographer, a poet, a writer, and with all of that, she's a devoted educationist. She's a member of the American Educational Research Association, Conroy Art League, Golden Key International Honor Society, National Art Education Association, and UNA USA, Houston in the USA. Zartasha is currently doing her PhD from the University of Houston in USA, and her recent publication is titled Colors of Art, which is a very interesting book on art. Today, we're going to talk about that in detail in a short while. Welcome to the Bridge, Zartasha. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum, Aisha. Thank you for giving me this honor and letting me join the intellectuals. I appreciate your kindness. I'm honored, and I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking about me. I appreciate it.
First of all, Zartasha, I would like to congratulate you on the behalf of the entire Bridge team for your publication. Would you like to tell us something about that?
My recent publication is revolving around the period of 20 years. And I joined the Lone Star Colleges in the spring of 2002 and developed my knowledge, skills, and the abilities, and went through the different stages to complete my reading, writing, and speech, and also to develop my skills in the field of art. I moved on after completing my 4 degrees and 2 certificates to the University of Houston and was able to earn my bachelor's and then master's at the University of Houston, doing my PhD in curriculum and instruction with an emphasis in art education. And I'm also an online learner at the Harvard University. So my writing skills and my art skills are supporting me almost every day. And I have curated 6 art exhibitions by joining the flag hosting ceremony and curating the artworks at the Pakistani American Community Center in Houston. I have curated 4 art exhibitions at the Consulate General of Pakistan in Houston, and then 2 online virtual exhibitions and plus virtual tours were also arranged by me. And my book has all of the colors in it, and it tells our readers about my knowledge, skills, abilities, experiences, observations, and the way I communicate and work for the other artists to introduce them, support and promote the art and the artists in the multiple ways in Texas, and I'm honored.
All right, that's very nice. So, how did you come up across the idea of compiling your experiences related to art in the form of a book? Because these are two different platforms. So, how was the experience of writing Colors of Art?
Well, my mother, I lost my mother 3 weeks ago, and my mother was my big inspiration. May her soul rest in peace. Amen. And her name was Sayyida Kulsum Anjum Gilani, a great teacher, a great writer, a great poet, a great radio anchor. And we learned several things from her. She was my big inspiration. And my husband is also a published poet. He writes and he recites and participates at different occasions in the state of Texas. And plus, he also communicates virtually with the other nations and the other countries for the different poetry events, and he's pretty good at it. So I'm also a kind of bookworm because my mother, when she was expecting me, she was writing about Byron Shelley, Keats, Wordsworth, Browning, Frost, and Emily Dickinson on her classroom board, and she was teaching her students at her school. And when I grew up, I learned several things from my family. My both sisters are retired teachers, so educational atmosphere supports. And my teachers, I'm thankful to all of my teachers, my classmates. the administrations, and plus my online instructors, my students even, because all of these things are completing the plans and supports the future plans to move forward. And I'm thankful to all of them, even my friends. They are also supporting me. Hi, Zartasha, your exhibition is awesome. Your writing is awesome. Because when I write in the newspapers, I receive several comments. I'm also writing in the different newspapers of Houston and my town's local newspapers, and I'm receiving several comments from them. And when I work for my education department at the University of Houston, I check several things and I make the comments. So far, progress is 110 for the doctoral students. And I also work for the AER, American Educational Research Association. Recently, we are getting ready for another annual event that will be happening next year in the United States. And I was chosen to read and make the comments and plus accept the projects of the other educators and from the different parts of the world. So I was given Europe and part of the United States and a part of the Middle East. I haven't gotten a chance to read about the Asian writers, though. Well, I'm still in touch with the AERA and I'm working for them, and I'm developing my knowledge, skills, and the abilities in writing. So all of these parts are making me feel better in my life almost every day, and they're also supporting my future plans and making me feel better as a writer, as an artist, as an educator, as a judge, because I also judge the artworks of the other students and I make the comments on them. I work in my town's local art gallery, and once a week I meet with the other communities in my town and we talk to each other. They have questions, I have the answers. When they want to know about the artworks, I tell them. We also talk about the history of art. I talk about the writers. I talk about this knowledge, skills, and the abilities that we need to use to make an artwork, just one art, because it's about the different stages. You select a canvas, you select a palette, you blend your colors, you make your sketch, and then you complete your work. And at the completion, you see your victory, you see your knowledge, skills, and the abilities, and the way you want to express your thoughts and your skills on your chosen surface. Writing is the same thing. Like when you have a plan, when you want to talk about a specific topic, you work on it, you make your sketches, you make your outline, and you add the details in a chronological order, because this process is very consistent. If it's not consistent, you can achieve your goals. You can win the attention of your readers. That's how I take things in my life.
All right. I'm really sorry about your mother. I'm sure she would be a wonderful human being. You have exhibited and curated artwork on multiple international platforms, and with all of that, you have won many awards for photography. Do you think that being an artist has helped you become a photographer? Is it by default? What would you like to say about that?
Well, art, I'm not a self-taught artist because I learned from my instructors. I learned from my fellow artists. And when I was making the artworks, I still make the artworks. And when I make the artworks, I also like to add the details of the things that I want to use, my source of information, my inspiration. And I want to incorporate my own things in my own ways. I am given an honor to exhibit the artworks of the former president of the National College of Arts, Lahore. His name is Safdar Ali, and he's also the pioneer of our Cubism in Asia. He has given his services for a long time in Pakistan and the other parts of the world. People are having his artworks as a part of their permanent collection in their worlds, in their countries, and people are visiting them. I I was able to exhibit the artworks of the former ambassador of Pakistan, Muhammad Akil Nadeem, several educators, my own husband, my friends, and my list is very long. We have a very famous poet. She lives in Denmark, Copenhagen, Denmark. Her name is Sadaf Mirza. She takes the photos. We have Noshi Gilani, a very popular female writer, female poet. and she lives in Australia. She's also a great photo person. So these are the hidden qualities that I want you to explore and share with the art lovers. Like they also love art, the way they like to use their words for their poetry, for their writing, for the media. They are also very creative in the world of studio art. They have these abilities to share with the art lovers, and they're supporting the other poets. And when you write, you do the same thing. You select your idea, you move on, you collect your information, you gather them in a chronological order. So this process is supposed to be consistent. So consistency is required. So that's what I do. Either I'm making an artwork or I'm curating an artwork as a curator, or I'm docenting at the gallery. I have worked for a year as a docent coordinator to support the gallery, to support the fellow artists, to work for a group of intellectuals. I'm happy that I'm a useful person and I'm able to talk about the art and the artworks. I'm also able to write about it, because when I write about my events, when I write about the other artists and the poets on the different newspapers, it makes me feel better and supports my popularity, and also gives enough information to the others, because people, they are also getting inspired by the writers. They're getting inspired by the artworks. When they visit an exhibition or an art gallery, they learn from them. And they also are learning from us, because we are in education. I'm an educator. I also teach. And a couple of years ago, I worked as an adjunct faculty at one of the colleges in Cyprus, Texas, and it's called the Cypher College, a brand new college in Texas, and we have a wonderful educational system from the Lone Star College system to support the students. And also, our teachers are well trained. And I was able to teach in the summer at the college, and that was an amazing experience. And I was teaching art. My demonstrations, my explanations, and my details were supporting the artists, and they were able to work with me, and we were working together, and we were supporting each other, because learners, they need support. Teachers, excuse me, they also need to use their educational tools, their knowledge, their abilities, their teaching methods to expand the knowledge of the learner. So the entire process is, well, that's what I'm learning from my previous experiences. The process is supposed to be consistent.
All right. Especially you have been a judge and you have judged a lot of art competitions. So, as an artist, what is that one distinctive quality in other artists that inspires you the most, which stands out for you?
And sure, well, that's correct that I have worked. Well, judging is a pretty challenging field. And I have judged the artworks of the several independent school districts at the University of Houston, and that was a part of the Teachers Association. So I was chosen as a doctoral student to sit with the other teachers and to evaluate the works. We were given a quiet room, and students were presenting their projects. A girl was able to share her project, and that was about her personal life. Like she lost her mother, and she was taking care of her siblings, and she was living with her father. Her father was a self-made person, and he was supporting his children, and she had created an artwork about her house, bricks, and the way she was facing the problems of her life. And she shared everything very honestly, and she was an outstanding person. I can't share the details of my judging. Well, I had to check everything. It's about presenting, it's about explaining, it's about sketching, using the correct colors, and having a strong theme behind the decisions. If you are making an abstract art, you do need to have a theme. You do need to tell us about your chosen colors. What is it about? If a student can answer just this question, that student can compete and beat the other artists. What is it about? This is an exceptional quality to talk about just this question, because this question is very challenging. And we do want to know about this answer. Like we want our students to tell us about these things. And same thing is happening with the other judging part. I have also given a chance to judge the artworks of our high school, American high school students, because we have an educational program at our gallery that requires us to evaluate the artworks to give an award to our high school winner. These are about our awards because we have the sponsors, we have the artists, we have the members, we have the administration, and we are also working together for LSAG. It's a big team. We have 14 galleries that are working together. Every single gallery is having an individual art program. And when we work together, we talk about our winners. I was also given a chance to evaluate the artworks of our high school students. We were judging individually. I was with my other fellow judges, and we were not sharing our responses with each other. And at the end of the story, we were surprised because we were all almost selecting the right people, the right students, the right artists, and we were glad that our responses were pretty good. And then, like recently, I judged the projects of the other educators. This standard is kind of big. This is also about judging and evaluating and working as a volunteer for the American Educational Research Association and then talking about it, not with the other people, with the administration, with the project director to share our personal thoughts. Why am I choosing this person for a project? Because this is about the global community. Global community is about full of the intellectuals. Global community is full of the educators, full of the artists. This is about talking as an educator, as a doctoral student at the University of Houston, who is a highly educated woman and can talk about it, can explain, can select someone because of his or her work that he or she is doing to compete, to get selected, to get competed, to find a space in education. So all of these things are supporting our judging, and judging is still a challenging part, even though I am judging. Well, I was also given, I believe, 3 or 4 times chance for the engineering department at the University of Houston. We were selecting the writings of our science projects. The kiddos were awesome, and I was not required to select as someone based on just the writing because you have to check your list. This is about hypothesis. I mean, process is supposed to be consistent. Hypothesis, data, and plus the research. It's not about selecting like qualitative, quantitative, or mixed method because middle school and high school students, they're not required to use any of these methodologies. They're just required to work. And format was APA format for a high school student or a middle school student. That was surprising because APA format is a big challenging format. And kiddos, they were required to use that format and they had chosen this. And I realized that the kids are also getting inspired by their teachers and from their fellow class fellows. I mean, their fellow Americans, and when they sit together, they work together, and then they compete. They of course deserve for an award, and we do give them awards. And the entire process was very consistent. And as an individual, I was required to read their papers and then evaluate the work and then talk about it. Like, why am I choosing this person for a big honor? Because we have if we have 20 districts and we have 300 students and we are selecting just a small group of the students competing very close to each other to win or lose a position. So to win a position, we have to talk about it. Why am I selecting this specific student for this much big honor at the University of Houston? We are pretty big people. Our university is pretty big. Our names are pretty big. Our students are very strong students. And it's not about selecting a specific name, a specific community, or a specific institution. It's about selecting an intellectual who is able to talk about his or her research. So the entire process was pretty good. That's all I can say about it.
All right, very well. Zartasha, you have done a course on Shakespeare from Harvard University. So, how was your experience working on Shakespeare?
Harvard University, I was able to work with Miss Myra. She is a pretty big name at the Harvard University, and she sits at the Graduate College of Education. she's a doctor and works with the doctoral students. And I was able to complete my certificate course. I have completed several other courses. And that was an amazing experience because I was reading the writings of the other people of the world. And I was selecting their works, making the comments. I was also sharing my personal research, my thoughts, and my answers with them. The comments were very different because when you don't expect from a German class fellow, you don't know because her point of view, you don't know how she feels when she reads about an American doctoral student. Because I'm also an American resident, so she was reading my writing and she lives in Germany. And then another person who lives in New York, and we don't know each other. Some of them were very religious people, some of them were political, some of them were retired teachers, some of them were medical doctors, and they were saying like, we just want to develop our skills. And some people were saying like, okay, we want to get these credits for our department, for our university, for our, multiple reasons to support
Yeah.
these things. And the learning process was very challenging because English reading, writing, and speech at the doctoral level is a big challenge. You don't make the mistakes when you write. You don't make the mistakes when you talk. You don't make the mistakes when you evaluate the words of the other people because they're depending on you. So this is a big commitment. So I respect my commitments, like read them carefully. Don't lose anything. If they are deserving fun and honor, please don't ignore it. So, as a neutral person, make the comments to let them survive to move on. So, someone will let you go forward because your work will be evaluated by the others. You also need to get peer reviews. You also need to get the comments. You also need to get the suggestions and the decisions for your progress because you depend on them. They depend on you. It's about writing too much. Even when we work, excuse me, on one assignment, we read 8 to 10 articles
Uh-huh.
for the doctoral program. And if one article is 13 pages long, so we read almost 150 to 200 pages for one assignment. And if I have to complete 3 assignments, so I'm reading almost 500 to 600 pages every day. And it's not coming from just one author, it's coming from 3 different authors. And if 3 assignments are supposed to be taken by me, so 3 assignments, 3 authors, and each author is using 20 sources for one article. So 60 sources, 3 authors, 600 pages to complete just 3 assignments, and then making the comments on your peers' works. So we do this much work. It's not about just me, it's about the entire global community. Doctoral programs are requiring us to read, write, and then talk about it. As a neutral person, it's not about emotionally getting involved by just one person, one excuse me, or one institution. It's about supporting fellow educators, supporting the fellow doctoral students, and then talking about it. Because
Mhm.
writer is writing an article, he or she also they're also spending too much time on their writings. They're getting because sometimes I read articles from the Pakistani universities, if something will meet with their writing requirements, they will get those articles. Universities are paying to the different countries to get the articles for the doctoral students because we are not required to directly contact with them. We get the sources that are available at the library for us to use online services. And the universities are feeding us through these articles. They're providing us with these body materials to improve, to let us improve the quality of our works. And we are surviving almost every day. And I'm glad that I'm also a survivor.
All right. And talking again, going back to Shakespeare, what is the one thing that really inspired you about Shakespeare? What's the one thing that you like about Shakespeare?
Well, my mom, when she was expecting me, she was writing Shakespeare. She was teaching and she was explaining about it. I have been to England twice. I have been to Shakespeare's town, and it was really hard to leave his house. It was hard to leave his town, his souvenirs shop, and it was hard to leave the bricks because the entire area we own Shakespeare. And I'm not. My sister is a British citizen. She lives in London. I live in America. Two more siblings are in America. Well, when my visit at the Shakespeare's town was an unforgettable experience for me. I love him so much. I love his Hamlet. I love Much Ado About Nothing. I love uh, Twelfth Night. I love almost all of his writings. Even his sonnets are musical. Sigh No More is musical. I mean, Wind and Rain is musical. All of these things are really, he has written about poetry, romance, religion, politics, environment, and the everyday life of the British people, because that's about the Renaissance period. Renaissance period is an amazing experience for the people because it's about early Renaissance, high Renaissance, Northern Renaissance, mannerism, and it's about Shakespeare. He died in 1616. I don't see any of it in anything that is ignoring or not meeting with the high writing standards in his writings. Even Henry V is it is still very fresh and catches an attention of a reader and makes you think about it. He's still a quit to be or not to be. Is still is a part of the literature, still a part of the world of theater and art and culture. And it's really my words are small for her because Shakespeare, it's really hard to write something that is even comparable or compatible because he has done an amazing job. And when I was completing my certificates, I got a chance to know more about his personal life, about his wife, his children, his background, his well-off family, and then the way he was maintaining his house and his writings and making theater services and then letting the people to sit at his theater to watch his plays. So the entire experience was very memorable. His town, there is a big McDonald's place across from him. It's really hard to eat. That keeps you away. I mean, we were sitting at that place and I was watching through that glass window and I was thinking, oh my God, I have spent 30 minutes just eating one at another place and I'm still thinking about him. His fences, his house, his souvenir shop. There is a funny sculpture outside of the souvenir shop, the dancing joker. Oh my God, that was also a very lovely experience for us. And then Wax Museum in London, they have a beautiful wax statue. When you go there, you can't keep yourself away from him. You can't keep yourself away from the because they have politicians, they have sports people, they have different celebrities from around the globe, and Shakespeare is there. He is there. He's wearing his beautiful clothes and his hair, his expressions, and his standing figure. He is there, and you can't keep yourself away from that flow. So definitely, you will go there and you will try to save that memorable moment. That Shakespeare is here. Oh my God, Shakespeare is here. So we need to save this. That this specific frozen moment is a part of the life that I was able to go there and have a beautiful picture with his wax statue. Normally, we get nervous when we see these materials, and I had to ask from the people that are, because they were working there. I wanted to get closer to the statue, and I had to ask, "Am I allowed to touch him?" They're saying, "Don't press his arm, his hand. You can touch his clothes. That's okay because it's not gonna it's not gonna mess around. Just be very careful." People get overwhelmed when they see their favorite celebrities, when they see their favorite people at the wax museum. They get overwhelmed. So overwhelmingness is a part of the normal life, normal behavior. So don't get embarrassed if you are an overwhelming person. But I learned that thing also at the wax museum. So I guess, I mean, it's really hard to appreciate his work. It's not about just Wind and Rain. It's not about just Sigh No More. It's not about Henry the Fifth, Hamlet, is Seleucid to be or not to be. It's not about Much Ado About Nothing. It's not about the 12th Night. It's about the way he was writing, about the human behaviors, emotions, people, families, music, living style, politics, and the environment. We own him. We own his writings. So this is really exciting when you read about him, when you earn some credits about the world literature, and you read about the Renaissance time, and you read about Shakespeare. You can't keep yourself away from that environment, because his writings do create an environment around you and makes you think about the Renaissance time. His writings are making you think about him, and the way he has written his, even his sonnets are musical. All of his sonnets are musical. So the entire experience was an amazing experience for me.
Thank you so much for sharing that experience with us. Um, you have a lot of years of credit as a teacher. Would you like to tell us something about how you are in the classroom as a teacher?
Well, at the Sci-Fi College, I was teaching art to our students, and a couple of years ago, as an adjunct faculty, I had to use the slides: visual literacy, object-based learning, project-based learning, and explanations to explain the steps that students are supposed to be taking in the classes are very supportive. And I do agree that the visual literacy helps in understanding the steps that they're supposed to be taking in their classes. And the students, they were learning from me, and I was explaining things to them. I had to use the materials. I had to demonstrate to them. I had to tell them, like, they have to create a space for them, a space, and then the materials that they were supposed to be using. Either you are making a wreath for you, or you're making a an environment of, or maybe rural life artwork, because I am representing urban life. I am living in an urban town. I can easily talk about the urban living, urban education, urban learning. Rural life is a big challenge for the urban people because they do not know too much about it. And when you have to go from one town to another town, you can see and observe for a little bit. When you do not know about the problems that they're facing, things that they have in their life, and the things that they want to do in their life, because they don't have everything in their lives. And the urban towns, we have populated cities, we have big buildings, we have big schools, and students, they do know if they miss their school bus, they can get a late bus. If they miss their late bus, they can get a ride from their friends. And we do have several options for them to use, and they are surviving. And the rural life students are facing different problems. And when I teach, I do observe these things, that urban students are very active. They have population, populated cities. They have classrooms, and the classrooms are full of the global people, because global people, I'm using this word because we have diversity, and the diverse culture of the United States is precious. Because in one classroom, if I have 30 students, I'm not going to have all of the students from one country. They will speak different languages. They will speak. They will represent different cultures, and the students. Of course, we have diversity in the classrooms. Our teachers are representing different nations, different religions, different beliefs, and different countries, and we are all working together. And as a student, when I sit in my classroom, I see the same. Excuse me, I see the same thing, because as a student, I'm supporting diversity. As a teacher, I'm supporting diversity. Even as an artist, I see the artworks, because an African artist will be different than an American artist, a European artist. The color blending will be different. We can see all of these things, these things in these artworks. I love Barbara Hepworth. Barbara Hepworth's work is very different than David Smith's work, and I like Emily Dickinson's writings.
Mhm.
Emily Dickinson is different than Bano Kutsia, than Anjum Gilani. My husband is a great poet and a great writer too. And our works are a part of the permanent display at the Consulate General of Pakistan on Jones Road in Houston. We received the comments, and we have given awards by our community, the Foreign Affairs and the education department, and I'm thankful for all of the awards. My husband is also thankful for all of the awards because these inspirations, these admirations, and these awards are telling us that we are acknowledged, appreciated, adored, admired, and liked by the different organizations, by the different government entities, by the different people. And same thing is happening in teaching, same thing is happening in learning. So teaching and learning, both
Mm-hmm.
experiences are telling me that we do have to support the diversity. Even as a UN member, UN a USA member, I work for the education community. We have a great person. She's a great inspiration. Her name is Sarah Tim. She's the pioneer of our education program. I love her so much. And when she talks about it, I learn from her. I work for her. We sit together and we have a big group of our friends. As an adult, as a part of the UNAU, as a part of the UN education community, I talk about it. I learn from them. I share my thoughts. I work for the curriculum because we do want to help the needy students. These are the different levels of teaching and learning. So when you use your own knowledge, skills, and the abilities to support a person who is deserving for an honor, and she is able to represent a program, and you're able to support her educational program, then you need to move on. You're supposed to be with her. And I am with her and her entire team. And this is about having a good relationship, having a good, a good team to support your commitments, to support a good cause, and to help the other communities. And I love these experiences a lot.
We were talking about your teaching experience. So you have told us how you are as a teacher in the class. What advice would you like to give out to all these instructors and all teachers out
Well, my knowledge, experience, and the abilities are telling me that our students are very important for us. So, students' behavior in a classroom is important. If something is correct, don't check. If something is incorrect, then you have to take care of it. Because if you have 20, 22 students in your classroom, 20 students are working, or a couple of students are not working, then you have to tell them that they need to concentrate. So those kiddos are also supposed to be supporting each other by staying quiet and working on the assignment. Because when they don't listen, they get in trouble. We have a very strict policy in education. Like if the students are not working properly, then they will get detentions. And I have not given any detention in my life so far. And this is the 13th year of my teaching. I guess I'm learning from my own experiences and observations. Like in the beginning of your class, read your assignment to them, let them have the required material and let them work on it. If something is missing, explain again. If they're not listening, then you have to check because the other students can't concentrate. We do not want them to move to another place. We do not want them to leave the room. We want them to stay together, to stay quiet. The kiddos are very smart. They're very well behaved. They stay quiet to stay on the tasks. We want them to work. Sometimes they work individually, sometimes they work as a group to represent their assignments. So in all of these situations, they do have to come every day. They do have to sit at a table. They do have to work. They do have to study to work every day. And if something is not clear to them, explain again. And if something is missing, to bridging the gaps, explain and demonstrate again. If a material as an artist is new to a student, or if someone has not used a pencil to draw or a pigment to blend on a chosen surface, demonstrate again. Get get that pigment, add something to that. If you don't use a medium, because in the independent school district system, we are not allowed to use the toxic materials because we do not want them to inhale the chemicals. To keep the kiddos safe, we use the non-toxic materials. And for the colleges and the universities, we are allowed to use the acrylics because the ventilation system is required. If you don't have a proper ventilation system, then don't use it. And if you are painting at home and you have a private session to teach, or you are working at a gallery and you don't have a proper ventilation, keep the doors open, keep the windows open. So they must not get sick. They will use the toxic materials, they will get sick. So to keep them safe from these problems, work with them, help them, guide them, explain things to them. Sometimes you have to explain again. Don't get harsh because they have the dreams. They are the future of a country. It doesn't matter if they're not representing a proper your family or your group or your team or your religion. Have their own individual identity. Each student has its own individual identification. Every single student is important for us. When we teach, we don't think about their backgrounds. We don't think about their personal living styles. They also don't think about us. If I'm teaching in a classroom, they don't think about, oh, Mrs. Shah is teaching in a classroom. It doesn't matter if Mrs. Shah is representing a different religion, a different community. Mrs. Shah is an educator. She is teaching in a classroom. She's also deserving for a due respect. She's also a part of the education team and she's able to teach. If she's teaching or she's writing, she's demonstrating or she's explaining, then let her complete her job and then move on. If you have questions, I have answers. If you need help, I'm willing to help because we are sitting together in a classroom. I respect my commitments, you respect your commitments. Kiddos are wonderful. I work for an independent school district system. In the summer, I had worked for the Sci-Fi College. They're willing to get me again for the next summer. I'm in touch with the department, and summer programs are very different because when you work for a college in the summer, it's like moving really fast. Summer program, like you need to do too much work at home just to use your demonstrations to work with the students. So you have to get ready for that. Get your material ready, select a project, make the sketches, get accepted by the human resources department and the program director to teach. Because when you go in your classroom, you need to have your materials with you. You can't do anything in the classroom. You need to get ready for that to use your own project to explain things to them because they have just one summer and each week they have to work on the assignments. And if this program is for a month, then you need to have 4 projects, maybe 8 projects, maybe 10 projects. You need to decide how do you want them to communicate. Think about their age, think about their speed. If you want them to follow your speed, that's not going to happen. Kiddos can't work with an experienced teacher. They can learn from her. The speed will not going to be the same thing though, because the levels are different. The learnings, I mean, this process is kind of different. So we are learning from our own experiences. We are observing our students and we are teaching all of these steps to them. Sometimes we get really intellectuals. They work really fast, some of the students, because God has given them these abilities. Some of the students are very creative. Well, I believe, I guess majority is creative. They're fluent, they're well behaved, they're quiet, they're creative, and they know what they need to do to move on. At the end of the story, at the completion of a project, they win. A winner will be there when you will be teaching a project to your students. You will see the difference. You will see a big change in the behavior. You will see a big change in the basic feedback because when you give the same materials to 3 groups, one group will be different than the rest of the 2 groups. Maybe speed, maybe creativity, maybe behavior, maybe manners. Well, the kiddos are good. I love my students. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if they're representing a special community, a special family, or maybe because they also have problems. Kiddos also have the problems, different problems, maybe personal problems, maybe getting disturbed by looking at the life of another friend or another family member because they're very sensitive. They don't share everything. They don't talk about their personal problems. Well, sometimes when they get upset, they don't talk too much. They just stay quiet because you can't take care of all of these things. You can't ask personal questions. If they have questions, you have the answers. If they don't ask, you can't interrupt.
Mhm.
And you do need to take care of it. So I guess politeness, consistency, consideration, a little bit of ignorance, and checking the behaviors of the students are very important. And plus, we are supposed to be able to explain to them. It doesn't matter if it's about explaining the details of a project, or it's about starting a new topic, or it's about revising something. Because when we take the tests, we don't talk. We don't give them any materials. They have to complete their test, and they have pin drop silence is required in a classroom. They can't use their phones. They can't play on their cell phones. No music will be there. Even in the music classes, when they have to take a test, we don't play any music for them, right? So, excuse me. I mean, these are my observations and my experiences. And well, I like the kiddos though. They're good.
So I completely agree with you on that point. So I would like to come in here and talk about, that the bridge is an absolute platform. It has been connecting artists and writers from all around the globe. What do you think? How do you think the bridge is going to help our writers grow? What do you think about the bridge in general?
Well, I am really happy for you. I'm honored that I'm a part of this wonderful program and this wonderful group of the intellectuals today. I appreciate your kindness for giving me a chance to share the different parts and different shades of my life as an educator and an artist, plus a writer today. The bridge is doing an amazing job. I have visited the website. I have watched the episodes, and I'm very thrilled that this program is exploring the new worlds for the viewers and supporting the educational programs and promoting the educators and their personalities. And this is an amazing experience for me. And I'm pretty sure that the bridge is able to bring closer these intellectuals by bridging the gaps. And all of these steps are very precious. All of these experiences are very amazing, and they're also inspiring. They're having a good impact on the viewers. And these programs will definitely give us more educators, will highlight the talents of the other educators, sporters, and the artists. And I'm pretty sure that the future will be very bright, the way we can see the brightness in for the bridge today. And I personally love this program, and very inspiring program to me.
All right. Thank you so much. It's an honor. Uh, you were very enthusiastic about your career, so we can guess that there is a lot to come. So before you can go, I would like to request you to tell us something about your upcoming project. What is coming up?
Well, I am also a researcher as a doctoral student, and I write for the different organizations. I write in the different newspapers, and when I do research, I use different sources from the different medias to connect my points and to talk about my chosen topic and my chosen theme in the classes for my instructors and for the organizations, and all of these experiences are pretty good. I was given a chance to speak in the Houston's UNA USA, I mean UN FA's celebration. I attended a women's conference, a UN Women Conference, and I was a speaker in Houston last year. And when I attend these summits, I talk about the different parts of the world, and I when I write about it, when I talk about it, when I attend an event and listen to the other people, I learn from them. When I talk, my work is also valuable, and I guess we have to have a good impact on the others. And this inspiration is valid, and consistency is required, validity is required, and plus knowledge, skills, and the abilities to convey a message can support the others. And to have a good impact on the others, we do have to improve the quality of the works. I believe all of these things can help to make the educational environment more useful, effective, and constructive for the others. And I believe I'm also a part of this world. I'm a part of education. I'm a part of art and culture. And I'm also doing my job almost every day correctly. And I'm happy about it. Excuse me.
All right. Thank you so much, Zartasha. It was wonderful to listen to your magnificent experiences. I wish you all the best for your future endeavors. And I would like to tell my viewers about the Bridge. We know that it is an absolute platform, and there are multiple activities, multiple creative writing competitions that are ongoing. We also have discussion portals, and we would hope Sartasha's presence and participation to be there, inshallah, in the future. And finally, please visit our website www.bridgethenations.com and join with your creativity. There's a lot more to come, so subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for further. Thank you so much.